After the success of the Hector, MG Motor is all set to launch their electric SUV in India, the EZS EV. To talk about the company's EV plans and also how they are dealing with the surge in bookings is Mr. Rajiv Chhabra, the Managing Director, MG Motor India. Mr. Chhabra, thanks very much for speaking to CNBC TV 18. 28,000 bookings. You've had to ramp up production by about 3,000 in the month of September. Give us a sense of the split that we're seeing in petrol and diesel right now, and even the petrol variant. What would be the percentage of mild hybrid?
Actually, we have been lucky so far that the car sales, the car bookings are pretty good. We still have lots of back orders to fulfill. In terms of the breakup, to our surprise too, petrol is much more than what we had expected. And this segment typically 80-90% used to be diesel till few months back. Now we are seeing in our case almost 55% is petrol and 45% is diesel. Now again, I won't say it's a stabilized trend, because initially maybe more petrol customers are coming to us, and finally it may stabilize at 50-50, my guess. Within 55% petrol, almost 30% is hybrid, which is 48 volt, which is a unique solution what we have given. It's a good hybrid between petrol and diesel as a solution. So good percentage, and in fact we were not ready for this number for hybrid, so we are going to ramp up more hybrid from October onwards. In fact, some customers who have booked the hybrid in the first 2-3 months, unfortunately they had to suffer because we were not ready with the stock planning. But October onwards we are ramping up hybrid also. So that's the breakup. That's a breakup.
Give us a sense, because right now the industry is going through a transition from BS4 to BS6. What would be the price increase once BS6 models are rolled out, both for petrol and for diesel?
See, BS4 to BS6, as we know, the transition is a very significant one. And it has different implications and consequences, and the cost consequences for petrol and diesel separately. So in terms of percentage, I think it would be safe to assume that the cost will change from 2-3% to 10%. So the price also probably will go in that ratio. So 3% to 10% is my estimate of cost increase across the variants.
Across petrol and diesel as well.
Petrol and diesel, yeah. So it means the BS6 is going to be pretty costly, and that's why consumers who are deal conscious probably will find this time from October onwards, October till February, March, I think may like to go for more BS4 because of this deal.
Many of the companies feel that diesel will become substantially more expensive, and they would like to focus more on petrol variants, at least for some time, till they see the market. Maruti, for example. What about you? Are you also playing this wait and watch game to see how the industry responds to high prices of diesel variants, to see how you would like to expand further?
No, I think our strategy is very clear. We are not waiting for market, we are not waiting for competitors' action to help us decide what's the... We I think are able to read the market well. I think we have that insight, and also we know the cost equation pretty well. So it's very clear, and by the way, everybody in the industry will say the same thing, I guess, that, you know, for certain engines below, let's say, 1.2 liter or 1.5 liter, the diesel engine cost becomes so much for BS6 compliance that consumers most probably will not go for diesel options in that engine category. So then you bring it down to certain segments. So I think, as we say, Hector segment, the CSUV segment is still, even if the price goes up, some consumers will go for diesel. So it makes sense to have diesel. So that's what our feeling, insight and judgment is. So we are going to continue with diesel in Hector.
Okay. You had to temporarily stop bookings because of the surge that you saw. Is this going to impact your EV production plans, EV launch plans as well?
No, I think both are kind of independent programs. We have a separate care line and assembly line for EV. So that's not going to impact the Hector ramping up. And I'm happy to say that as we talk, we have already produced 12 EVs in our factory, which is in Halol in Vadodara. and we are on target to launch the car in December.
So you're on target, and will the existing 55 dealerships of MG Motor be selling these, or will there be select outlets only, or will you be expanding the number of dealer outlets?
See, whole thing, this whole EV game will evolve in the country. Lots of things, you know, we don't have definitive answers. Infrastructure, charging, the availability of the manpower to get exclusively trained for the EV, even at the dealership. You know, we need some trained manpower because there are safety issues. Even in plant, we require some very specialized trained power to handle EV. You know, so I think a lot of issues. The whole thing is evolving and will evolve, and definitely we are one of the leaders in this country to get into this EV space. So we are going to take it easy and slow because everybody has to get educated, including our own team. So we are going to start with only 5 cities, and based on the infrastructure, based on our dealer readiness, based on consumer acceptance, we'll grow that to other cities.
All right. And what's your view on the infrastructure, the EV infrastructure that is available in India right now?
So,
does it make you confident? Because the customer doesn't feel confident.
So from our perspective, for these kind of cars, for EZS, ZS EV, what we are going to launch, nothing is available right now. Even high chargers, the specifications are different. So we are going to follow a very multi-pronged kind of an approach in that. So we are saying that any consumer who wants to buy our car, EV, we will send a team of electricians to his or her house to evaluate and fit a charger there. So a fast kind of a charger we are going to put in the consumer car, which can charge the car overnight. Right. So that's one thing. Second is, every car is going to have an overboard charger, so you can plug that into any 220 volts. So suppose you're going somewhere and then you're short of electricity, then you can plug that and then you can get. And plus we are also tied up, as you may know, with Delta and Fortrum and some other companies to install high-speed charger at the dealerships. Fourth, I'm assuming that when different companies, it seems they have made statements that they want to set up charging stations on the highways and things like that. Hopefully that infrastructure also should be available to consumer as we go forward. But right now nothing is available. So we are trying to do things on our own and collaborate with some charging players for this infrastructure.
Okay, can you tell us about the local players that you're trying to work with to set up infrastructure?
So Fortrum and Delta, these are the 2 charging companies who are helping us to set up, to give us the chargers as well as set up at the dealerships like here. So here we're going to set up a fast charger. You know, so it means a consumer can come and get his car charged at the dealership.
But it won't be available anywhere in the city otherwise.
So in the city, we are working with some players where at some high frequented areas, if we can start putting some chargers. So that's an ongoing discussion. Depending on the population of the cars, we'll find these areas and work with those collaborators to install chargers.
Are you also looking to create awareness among customers as far as electric vehicles go? Because there is a range anxiety, there is charging anxieties as well as to where you will charge these vehicles.
So we are going to have our, like Hector, we have the MG Shield, right? So here we will have eMG Shield, hopefully, and to address the range issues. So there are 4 possible solutions. So you can charge at your place and you are good to go for 250, 300 kilometers. We are also trying to find out the worst mileage, you know, in the extreme conditions. And we want to be very honest with consumer that in the extreme conditions, the range is as low as this, because we don't want the customers to get stuck on the highway. So one is the charging at your home, number 1. Number 2, OBD charger. You can plug it in and can do 20-30% charging and you're good to go to your at least home or office. The third is dealer fast chargers. And fourth is we are also working on a solution, mobile charger, that if you get stuck, so we can send a mobile van to at least give you some charging, 20-30%, so that you can go to the next destination. So that's how we are trying to provide a eMG Shield.
All right, so you're providing MG Shield as well. Talking about some of the incentives that the government has launched in the last couple of years, there has been a lot of push towards electric vehicles. You've had the FAME scheme, custom duty has been reduced on EV components as well, certain EV components. What do you feel about these measures?
See, the GST reduction obviously is a welcome move because that's going to straight away help in reducing the price, or trying to at least make it manageable price to the consumer, because the price is going to be high. So GST reduction is a welcome move. FAME, there is nothing in FAME which basically helps this category of cars. So because they have capped the limit at 15 lakhs, and that also is available through only fleet cars. So frankly, for our kind of cars, ZS EV, which is going to be in the range of 22-25 lakhs, you know, in that range.
You can't take advantage of
that range. There is no advantage of FAME. So which I find, again, in government in their own wisdom, they have done that. My only view is that when you want to open a category, you start a new business, it should be with as minimum conditions as possible, so that at least you try to embrace the change. You know, when you put hundreds of conditions before the transformation or before the change, I think you make the life difficult, in my opinion. So it can be simpler.
So would you expect that going forward, the FAME incentives should extend to these categories as well?
Frankly,
would that be one of your
frankly,
expectations?
from our perspective, we are not going to depend on FAME incentive to sell our cars. If that happens, that's a bonus, that's a plus. But from the policy perspective, I expect government to have a long-term view on these things and put least number of constraints for this kind of a huge transformation to take place.
Yeah. Talking about least number of conditions, there has been a lot of talk about EV policy in India. Does that make things a bit uncertain? Because on one hand, there was a big push, but then you also heard from top ministers in the government that we're not going to ban any particular technology. Both technologies will continue side by side. Does that also create confusion for you?
You know, let me say it let me answer it in a different way. Sometimes in our country, what happens is when you have to go from this point A to point B, right? So there is a straight line. In our country, we go zigzag, right? So still you reach B and still the path is clear, still the direction is clear, but sometimes certain steps look like it's regressive, you know. So I hope we keep moving in that direction.
Any other incentives that the government could bring to make it easier for companies like yours?
Again, long-term policy, clarity in regulations, so that we know that what are the rules of the game. You know, if you make it very clear that these are rules of the game for the next 5 years and 10 years, I think most of the players, whether local or international, will be more than happy. So this is one thing. Second is, for any big change to happen, encourage people to embrace that change rather than by saying, hey man, this is a new game and there are 100 rules of this game. Make maybe 2 rules of the game and let the guys start playing the game.
Right. And finally, on the subscription model, it is becoming popular. What's your own view on that, and do you think it'll work for electric vehicles as well?
By the way, in Hector already we are doing subscription model. We have tied up with Miles, which is a startup in its space. So already subscription on Hector even has started. Very small numbers right now, but subscription model here is here to grow, in my opinion. So lots of OEMs are doing it now. And EV also, I believe, subscription model will be effective and it will be used by consumer.
All right. So there would be a subscription model for the ZS EV as well?
Yes, it should be.
Should be there. Rajiv, thanks very much for speaking to CNBC TV 18. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.